Hey everybody, Stephanie here asking you to hear me out. So today we're getting into what addiction feels like. Now this is from my perspective. I can't speak for everybody. This may not be how you felt if you're in addiction. It may not be what your cousin said they felt. This is just from my perspective. So let's before we get into that though, I just want to give you a bit of a trigger warning. So you might hear some things in this video that might set you off in a negative way, but my friends at Aegis Health Group and I believe that in order to eliminate this stigma, we have to talk about it. So, we're all about creating positive and safe spaces for those going through the recovery journey, and that's what we're hoping to do. So, let's get started. So, addiction from my perspective, I guess it was a war in my head. I didn't want to use, but I was using, and I didn't know how to stop. My brain would say, okay, today I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to do anything. And by the end of the day, I would be using, and I didn't understand why. Why did I not have control over my own body? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like I was watching myself do these things, and I was screaming in my head, stop, as loud as I possibly could. And it didn't work. It was getting mad at myself for not having the strength to say no when somebody offered it to me, or being in a place I didn't understand why I couldn't just, I'm not going to do that, and walk away. And it became this huge reason for why I isolated myself. I stopped talking to all my friends. I stopped going to family get-togethers. I stopped wanting to be around anybody that knew me in the prior time, because as soon as they saw me, they would know I was using. And then I'd have to answer a bunch of questions, and I'd feel like crap because they would know I was using. And I just didn't want to go through that. So I would stay hidden as best I could. I would go to the things I was kind of forced to go to, or I had to go to. It's one of those things, you can't miss it. It's like your cousin's wedding, you have to go, that kind of stuff. It was a great big fear of people finding out. I had 4 children at home, and if somebody would have found out, my kids could have been taken away. And honestly, I think this is one of the biggest things that a lot of women with kids fear, is they don't want to lose their kids. And there's women out there right now that want help but are afraid to ask for that help because they're afraid of losing their kids. So it's a lot of the time the system has kind of set it up in a way that we're afraid to ask for help. And that's not just women. There's a lot of situations where men are afraid. I think it's those barriers are what kind of keeps us in that place and keeps us isolated. It was like a need-hate relationship. Now, this is a term that came from my friend Steve Rose when I worked with him writing an article kind of about this. And I love the way he put this, that we hate the fact that we need it, and the more that we hate it, the more that we need it. We end up hating ourselves. And so the more that we hate ourselves and have these bad feelings, again, referring back to my last video about how, it's to alleviate pain, we feel pain within ourselves because of what we're doing or how we're living our lives. And the more pain we feel, the more we want to get rid of it. There comes a point, I think, in every addiction, and I don't know if this is everybody's, I would like to believe it is everybody's, where it becomes more of a pain escaping thing rather than a pleasure seeking thing. You're not doing it to get high and have a good time anymore. You're doing it because you just don't want to feel all this bad stuff that's in your life right now. I can't speak for everyone. Like I said, I don't know if that's everybody's feeling, but that's definitely how I felt after a while. I remember starting out using, and it was fun. I felt awesome. I felt great. But then there was a point where it's just this isn't fun anymore. So why am I still doing it? And even knowing why it wasn't fun anymore, I still couldn't stop and still couldn't figure out why. It was like I said, I was in a shell watching myself do all of this stuff. So cravings kind of overtake your brain sometimes, and that's where all of these things that you would normally never do, like selling your kids Christmas presents or taking gift cards or literally selling everything in your house. Yeah, that's stuff normal people wouldn't normally do. But when you're using, you don't think twice about that stuff because you're trying to make that pain go away. So when you're doing stuff like that, that adds to that hate. And I keep coming back to this whole self-hate thing, because that is what I think the biggest reason for addiction is that we're not okay with ourselves. We don't feel good. We don't feel good about ourselves. We don't feel good mentally, physically. There's something going on. So I guess the point of this video is telling people yeah, there is a lot going on within us. And what you think is just somebody wants to have fun and wants to get high and wants to be like this, we don't want to be like this. We're too afraid to ask for help. And why are we afraid to ask for help? Because everybody's telling us how bad of people we are and they don't want to help us. So we feel like there's no point. There's no point in asking for help because nobody's going to help us. I'm not like this guy, so they're not going to help me. And I think this is why we really need to change the way that we're looking at addiction and the way that we see people. Like, I work in a place where I'm seeing people that are in active addiction every day. And I don't look at them and go, wow, that guy's really, really rough. I wasn't that rough. I'm wondering, like, wow, what happened to that guy? What happened to this person that this is okay? And I keep asking that question. I think this is like the third video that I've said this in. And because this is what we really need to start looking at it like. And I hope that anybody watching this video today is going to start doing that. Just take a mental check, even if you don't have anything to say, or you don't, just ignore it if you don't want to deal with it. That's fine too. But if you are going to look at it, instead of saying, oh, what's wrong with that person? Why are they like that? What happened to them? So I don't really know what else to say about what addiction is like, besides the fact that it was a war in my brain. I was doing things that I didn't want to do. I was hurting the people around me, and I didn't know how to stop from hurting them until somebody actually helped me and told me, hey, try this, try this. I needed a hand. So if we want to see people get better, then we need to start putting out more hands instead of pushing them away and trying to sweep them under a rug or put them in a different neighborhood. We need to start reaching out our hands and helping. And maybe that's not actually reaching out your hand to a person on the street. Maybe that's making a contribution to a rehab center, or, you know, being a part of an advocacy group in your neighborhood to actually figure out a good way that works for everybody to navigate the system, or help these people navigate the system. And last but not least, if you know anybody that's going through active addiction, or you yourself are going through active addiction and you want help, you want that hand reached out to you, the place to go is Aegis Health Group. They helped me, and I've been sober 4 years now. I can't thank them enough. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for them. So they're really good there. They treat you like a human being, and that's what people in this spot need. So their number is 226-946-1000. So they'll take care of you right away. All right, everybody, it's looking like it's going to start raining at any given second right now. And since I'm outside, I like doing these videos outside, but since I'm outside, I'm going to take off. So see you guys later. Have a good one.